the biggest ever built, called Unsinkable. It hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sinks because there aren't enough lifeboats aboard. That's not the Titanic, that's a novel written 14 years before the Titanic ever existed. In 1898, a struggling American writer named Morgan Robertson published a novel called Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan. Robertson wasn't just any novelist, he'd spent years working as a sailor in the merchant marine before turning to writing. He knew ships, he knew the industry. And in his book, he described a massive ocean liner, the largest vessel ever built, marketed as unsinkable, that strikes an iceberg on a cold April night in the North Atlantic and sinks, killing most aboard because there simply aren't enough lifeboats. He named the fictional ship the Titan. 14 years later, in April 1912, the RMS Titanic set sail, the largest ship in the world, publicized as unsinkable. 4 days into her voyage, she struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. She sank in under 3 hours. More than 1,500 people died, in large part because the ship didn't carry enough lifeboats for everyone aboard. The parallels were so exact that newspapers and readers at the time couldn't ignore them. Line the two ships up, and the similarities are hard to dismiss. Both were described as the largest ships afloat. Both were marketed as unsinkable. Both struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic in April. Both sank because of a shortage of lifeboats. But it's worth being precise here. Not every detail matches. The real Titanic was significantly larger than Robertson's fictional Titan and carried far more passengers. This wasn't a perfect prophecy. It was something else. By the 1890s, shipping companies were locked in a race to build bigger and bigger ocean liners, each marketed as safer and more unsinkable than the last. At the same time, maritime lifeboat regulations hadn't kept pace. Ships were legally allowed to carry far fewer lifeboats than passengers because the rules were written for smaller vessels decades earlier. Robertson, with his first-hand knowledge of the shipping industry, saw where these two trends were heading. He wasn't seeing the future. He was one of the only people paying close attention to the present and correctly predicting where an unchecked trend was going to end. That reframes the whole story. This wasn't an unforeseeable freak accident. The warning had been sitting in print for 14 years. Nobody in the shipping industry changed course until 1,500 people had already paid the price. Morgan Robertson didn't see the future. He just understood the present better than the people building these ships did. And that's a far more unsettling thought than any prophecy.